They changed something again. All right, welcome everybody. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, who would like to say grace? Chris?
Me. Very good. Thank you, Lord, for getting us safely to the meeting today and keeping us cool on this very hot day, and giving us continued training and education to make sure that we can help serve the public through our service here at Civil Air Patrol. God name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chris. Okay, welcome everybody. Today on our schedule we have emergency services related topic. So we will talk about specific process as requested by Michael. Good idea, by the way. What happens when you get called for the duty, right? So we will talk about that. So before we move to that fun stuff, we'll do some housekeeping review. Let's begin. Hello, please come on in. There is a sign up sheet somewhere, so please sign in. Okay, let's begin with aircraft. 216 Charlie Papa. We were hoping very much to have the aircraft ready in service end of this week, and even volunteered to fly for Imperial mission together with Terry. But there is always something. So first, we were expecting a full set of 6 cylinders with pistons, full assembly. Based on email discussion with National, that was exactly what we were expecting. But we received just pistons. And to make it worse, not every component of a piston kit was included in a package. So our mechanic at Maintenance 1 has had to place an order for additional parts and is now waiting for approval by National for him to order these parts. So best case scenario, we may have them sometimes next week, and hopefully by end of next week the airplane will be back in commission. Who expected better, right? Anyway, 172, which is expected to be at Hamid sometime this month. I didn't hear yet on exact date it will be transferred to our squadron. I think they were waiting for some maintenance to be completed from what I recall, and Hamid squadron asked me to assist with facilitating moving the aircrew to Arizona to pick up the airplane. Since they didn't get in touch with me, I assume we don't have a date yet, but I will figure out, and by next meeting I'll provide a more concise update on that aircraft. Any questions on aircraft? While we are on aircraft topic, I highly recommend not to be discouraged that we don't have aircraft in our hangar. We actually have a reasonable number of aircraft in the area. We have aircraft at John Wayne, we have aircraft at Fullerton, we have aircraft at Whiteman, and the circle keeps expanding, but it's all about your willingness to travel and find the instructor to get through onboarding process. So that's the situation. For example, when I was going through onboarding, we did not have aircraft closer than, for G1000, the nearest one was in Torrance, actually. So I drove to Torrance, got my check right there, and got over with it. So that's the situation. And again, don't hesitate to reach out and ask for assistance. Myself, Mike Swift, Terry Pratt, even though Terry is a rare guest in our meetings, but he is very responsive. And if he's not responsive, I am responsive. I'm not traveling for the next couple of months for sure. Next subject, it's end of the fiscal year, so we are closing in a positive balance on our books, which is good news, actually. So we got a little bit of a scare. We saw significant deduction from our checking account, and we found out that it was, to our best knowledge, erroneous charge by the wing against our funds collected from Sarex. So that's supposed to be resolved. I raised this issue to the wing commander, and we should be, let me share the screen, in a pretty good shape. So we are about like $760 plus for the next year, which is a big change for us because we increased our membership comparing to the last year quite significantly. At this time we have 29 active members and 6 patrons. Patrons don't pay anything, so they don't contribute to our budget. So thank you all on this matter. Yes.
You're not sharing it through Teams.
Oh yes, just a second. Let me share because I'll be talking about the budget anyway. So budget. So we operate on fiscal year, and which means our year starts October 1st, 2024, and we call it fiscal year 25. So financial committee of our squadron gets together virtually or in person, mostly virtually, because our budget is very simple. And I'll show you what it looks like. And we discuss what our expenses are, what our reserves, if any, and what kind of dues we have to collect to break even. So as you can see, we actually have income and we have expense. So I'll start with expense because that drives our requirement for the income. So we have internet, which cost us $660 a month, a year, sorry. Which was actually a significant improvement from previous year. We used to pay $130 a month. To Cox, we switched to T-Mobile, runs great. I don't have any complaints. Sometimes it requires a reboot, so the unit is in our comms room, so one of us should just go and power cycle it and brings back to life. Then our next largest expense is building rent and utilities. So all in all is $7,900 for the building. We get $1 a month for the hangar and $420 a year for utilities. So the cost of rental continuously goes up. When I joined Squadron, we were at around $550 a month. Now it's close to $700, all in. We tried to negotiate it with airport, and the best we could do is they just gave us a little bit of a break and told us you should be happy you are not paying much for the hangar. So to be honest, people pay that much just for the hangar. We have a building with all utilities included, etc. So as you can see, that is our cost, and we don't have anything else. And this is where our membership dues go to. So how we come up with the number for the monthly, annual, again, sorry, don't scare, for the annual dues, we simply take our total cost minus any reserve. So this year we have a little bit of a reserve, and we have the number which we divide across active members. So I simply took the total expense divided by present assumption we will have 30 active members for the next year, and we come up with a number, and that number comes to a little bit under $300. So the good news, we don't have increase in dues. The bad news, we don't have increase in dues, right? So it's kind of, this is how you look at it. Keep in mind, if you're itemizing your taxes, membership dues, your uniform expenses, the cost of driving to and from our meetings, exercises, the uniform, pretty much anything you acquire or expense to get to the squadron for the meeting, to go to the actual search and rescue event or exercises is tax deductible. One caveat on mileage, it's not your 65 cents per mile, it's actually like 11.5 cents per mile because the donation miles are lower. But talk to your CPA to figure it out. And keep track of all your expenses. It adds up. So 1 year, my total deduction just for CEP was in about $6,000. So it could be sizable. So any questions on the budget?
When is our actual dues due? When do you,
October 1st.
October 1st?
And for new members, our tradition is when you join, you pay full annual dues for the first year, but your next year is prorated. Okay. Another benefit, if you have more than one member from the household, the second member comes at half price. So in your case, Paul, your son comes at half the price. Same goes for only here, right? So, another benefit. So that's how it goes. Yeah, we figured that we need to encourage bringing more people. We have a lot of roles to fill. That's an incentive for the second and third and so on and so forth member of the household. But so far we are doing great. We have three families now in membership. So good job. But keep in mind, we can reduce our costs on dues by bringing more members. If we go higher on active members, we will all together pay less. Any questions? Okay. So done with budget. The way it works, we will submit all the calculations to the group, which myself, I am a group finance officer. I collect it from all squadrons. I review that all documentation is in order, and I pass it all the way to the wing. Our deadline is end of this month. We are on time. Good news. Bad news, other squadrons didn't deliver their budgets yet, but that's my problem to deal with. Next, every 2 years at Civil Air Patrol, we are going through what's called subordinate unit inspection. And that's essentially Inspector General, which is a job not reporting to Wing Commander. They are reporting directly to Inspector General at the national level. They go and review how every unit actually operates, if we go by the rules and procedures and regulations and stuff like that. And they come, they ask us to submit the paperwork ahead of time, which we do. And this year I got significant help from some of our officers, from Chris, Air Specification, from Kathleen, thank you very much. Chuck helped with logistics and inventory, and we came through better than last time. So this is my second SUI. We still got discrepancies, but those I'll go over them in a brief. We were dinged in 3 areas. Administrative. So if last time we had too much papers in our admin office, so this time we didn't have enough. So they also got issue on personnel side because apparently I didn't dismiss the financial committee and I didn't create one from scratch, which my understanding I wasn't supposed to do. I'm not supposed to disband financial committee. I'm supposed to add to it. But nevertheless, it's way in the past. There is nothing I can do about that. For admin stuff, Kathleen will take care of that. The next time we will come clean. I think we are all on the same page there. On finance, to my surprise, they did raise a question that we did not have financial meetings exactly on the clock every 3 months. So in 2022, we missed December meeting because we were actually closed and we couldn't get quorum. So we had our meeting January 3rd. They didn't count it. We still had 4 meetings in a year, but it wasn't like on a clock. And for whatever reason, this year, 2024, we also skipped one of the quarters. So we still had 4 meetings and 4 meeting minutes, but it wasn't good enough. So we'll take care of that. The good news, we came through satisfactory across all points. We had pretty good, very good improvement. In fact, thank you to Chris on air specification. They accepted all events we took care, including internal and external. We need it's not their comment, it's my comment. We need to have a little bit better job planning our events forward for the next year, and so on and so forth, and keeping documentation on what we have done and exact references, who were engaged, what kind of presentations we have conducted, and so on and so forth. But overall, thank you, team, for helping with this effort. One issue we discovered in logistics, that our inventory assigned to Charles wasn't properly transferred to his control, which was partially my mistake, because I conducted the inventory last year. When we move from one year to another, we have to count everything, and I clicked the wrong button and I initiated the change of command inventory, which was already done, so there was no way for me to cancel it, so it was just hanging. And as it was hanging, it didn't allow us to assign stuff within the unit. So we resolved all of that actually today, and I submitted the record that it wasn't our fault quite. So hopefully they will accept it. So we came with less discrepancies comparing to the last year. All right, any questions? Well, moving forward, next one will probably not be my responsibility because 2 more years I'll be out of command. It's a 4-year term, so whomever will take over will have to deal with next, and hopefully we'll make it much better for that commander in charge. All right, few more items. There will be search and rescue exercise at Cable from September 21 to 22nd. They still didn't send sign-in worksheet, so be on lookout for that. If you plan to engage in emergency services ratings, you have to prepare yourself, get prerequisites taken care of ahead of time, so you don't scramble the last minute. Yes?
They did send it out at 3:34.
Okay. I'm a little late on that. So you can pursue mission scanner, mission observer, mission staff assistant. You can pursue, if you are ready, mission pilot role. You can go for ground operations, and so on and so forth. So there are many things you can do. Reach out to me, Chris, Mike Swift. We will help you close on your prerequisites on time. We have enough skills evaluators and trainers on staff to move you forward with your goals. For some of the positions in emergency services, there is a requirement to complete ICS 300, which is a FEMA course. This course is typically done either virtually or in person. So there will be in-person course in October. There is an email from George God. Please reach out to him and sign up, because as soon as he fills in all the spaces, the opportunity will close. And those opportunities don't come often, usually maybe twice or 3 times a year. All right, and I will let Michelle or Chris, who would like to talk about planes and treats.
So on Sunday, we met with the airport cafe owner, Lemamo, and about one of the funnest things we do every year, which is the Planes and Treats event. It is coming up in almost exactly 2 months from now, October 19th. That's a Saturday. It's great for a couple of reasons. One, it's not like most cap things, bright and early in the morning out in the blazing sun. It's in the afternoon and evening. It's a community outreach event. So if you've been to a Planes and Treats event that they have at the airport, basically it's a Halloween themed event where literally thousands and thousands of local residents come and go. There's vendor booths with food. There's vendor booths selling all kinds of stuff that you would see at a normal air show type of event. There's a plane display area where the kids will filter through in costume and trick or treat at the airplanes.
Last year we had about 2,000 plus people come through the line from 4 to 9, I believe. We had Corona Cadet Squadron help us with flight line and security. However, we did come across
some issues with the way things are worked that we've addressed to the cafe, and they're addressing that. So
according to Lamamo, the manager at the Riverside Cafe, they will have Riverside Sheriff's Departments dealing with security, so that if we do have our cadets involved, which I'm planning on reaching out to about 8. There are 9 total squadrons in Group 3, so I'm going to try to reach out to like 8 of those commanders and see if their cadets or senior members are willing to participate. And hopefully we will try to work out, as I'm sure you remember, Chuck, we had a booth right outside the airport terminal, but we were hoping to get a booth also inside the flight line.
Yeah, one of the things we didn't have last year, we didn't have a plane last year. And we didn't talk to them in time to get a plane, even if we had a plane. However, from our conversation on Sunday, she said we just need to let her know we have a plane, if we have a plane. So hopefully by October 19th, we will have that plane. It sounds like we will. And be able to get it there in the line so that we would have, like you're saying, a booth on both sides, on the flight line side and on the parking lot side. We're hoping to get a booth in the same location as we had last year, which is, as you said, it's right in front of the airport terminals where we were last year. So literally the entire line, everybody that was there had to walk by and see our booth. It's a great event for recruiting both senior members and especially for the cadet squadrons to get, their squadrons to get new members as well. And just in general, a lot of people are like, we heard it so many times last year, we didn't know Riverside had a civil air patrol. Because who drives down Gamendi Drive unless you're coming there for airport business? So that's what our plan is. We're not taking signups yet, but hopefully everybody can put on your calendar, see if you've got some availability that the 19th. Again, from the event starts from 4 to 9. We'll be getting there about 2 o'clock, 1 to 2 o'clock to get set up, organized, make sure everything's good to go. As she said, we'll be trying to get as many cadet squadrons involved as possible.
We will be utilizing our banner that we have. We also have, we have a tent that we can also utilize, and if we can use Corona's tent, as well as their banner, that would be great if we have 2 different locations as well. The cadets will be mostly doing maybe flight line safety.
And probably parking lot
and possibly,
direct, pointing.
And Lamamo is trying to make the ingress and egress a little bit more streamlined compared to last year. It was a little bit chaotic, so we will see how that goes.
Yeah,
so right now everything is just discussion. Chris will be doing most of the communication with Lamamo, and I will be talking to the rest of the squadron, and I'll be CCing you on all of the communications.
And engage our safety officers, Roger, Mann, and Chuck, on proper paperwork, which we'll file ahead of time.
That's true.
Yes.
Forgot about paperwork.
Yeah, last year we were
There's
filing
always
paperwork
paperwork, I
about
see,
2 weeks
right?
ahead of time. The other
Oh
thing,
yes, the other thing, after talking about the budgets, I sent out an email back in February, but this was like a long time ago. We are signed up with Wreaths Across America, and we will get back like a $5 cash back for every wreath that we are able to sell. I placed the link in our CAWG Squadron 5 in Teams. You just go under, and I'll write it down. I had meant to come in early, but my vet visit took a little longer than expected. You go under Teams, go under Files. I've created a folder called Wreaths Across America, and the poster should be in there. You can print that as many times as you want. That has our unique QR code as well as our website that individuals can utilize to purchase a wreath. And it's a great fundraiser tool.
Yeah, and what you can do,
once you print those out, put them in your place. Businesses that have a bulletin board that allows that type of thing. Hand them out to people in your community. We will be having them to hand out at the Plains and Treats event. And it's not so much for you. I mean, you can buy one if you want, but it's not so much for you guys to buy. If you want to give that's up to you. But it's mostly for us to outreach in the community. And the bad news is we didn't sell any last year. The good news is that means we have really, really, really low bar to beat this year. So.
I think that's about it. I'm hoping this year with La Mamo and Plains and Treats event, we'll have a lot more people. We did get a lot of cold leads last year. I emailed them. It was unfortunately in the middle of our Christmas break, so I didn't really hear back from them. I try not to spam them, maybe 1 or 2 emails, and that's about it, because no one likes spam email. But hopefully we'll get more leads. We'll see.
Yes, and Kathleen also is a new personal assistant officer, so we will ask Kathleen to maybe collect and prioritize the leads.
Okay.
And if any of you maintain the leads from your engagements, please channel either directly to Kathleen or through me, and we will do a better job with recruitment.
And Plains and Treats does count as an external aerospace education event as well.
If we educate on aerospace, there is a caveat to that.
Well, we also have the simulators.
Well, yes,
we could
that
also
was one thing.
utilize.
Last year,
We have to display the goodies and
Yeah.
talk about aerospace education.
last year we had the simulator, not that simulator, the simulator kit that you can get through the aerospace education program. We had it sitting on the table for people to take a look at. We had both ours and Corona Squadrons. This year we've got a couple more aerospace education things, so I'll be bringing those to that as well. So.
Okay, good. Thank you. Good effort. Okay, and one overdue item which got buried in a administrative paperwork, but nevertheless we have to get it done. So, Chuck, please, front and center. It's long overdue, but deserved. Chuck, congratulations for passing your level 2 long time ago.
Oh.
And this is official proof that you have done it. Good job. And by the way, on new members, I think I'd like to say, Paul, you did a fantastic job completing a lot of prerequisites and professional level training. So well done. Keep up the same level of engagement. So Al, you did a good job too. You are pretty well advanced into level 2 at the moment. So with all the changeovers of access to absorb and that kind of stuff, it set us back quite a bit. But we didn't have any problems with equal opportunity and cadet protection program, which is good. Even though we are not cadet squadron, but we deal with cadets. If we fly them, if we participate in events, it has to be done. Okay, let's move on to fun part. So, question was, let's say you complete your emergency services training and you actually want to participate in real event. So once you are registered as emergency services member, you are part of notification system within Civil Air Patrol, and you may get notification via 3 channels. You may get text message, you may get email to your CAP email address, and you may get a phone call. So if you monitor your emails, text messages, and phone calls, you will see there is an open mission for whatever event is going on. And I'll show you an example from the most recent mission, which happened just this week. Actually, let me share the whole screen, makes it easier. Okay. So I received a text message that has a caption, CAP mission alert. It has a mission number, and it addresses to you specifically that we need, in this case it was High Bird Air Crew. They need mission pilot, mission observer for Palm Springs missing person search. So initial was on Sunday and Monday. I applied to both of them. I knew I will not be selected for Sunday because A, we don't have aircraft, B, there are squadrons with plenty of resources available, so I didn't have my hopes high. But nevertheless, so when I responded, I received notification that we understand you are available for the mission on this operational period. Usually it's like 1 day in advance. So what does it mean? It doesn't mean you're going to actually participate. It means they actually put you on a roster of available resources. Based on your qualifications, based on your location, they will start prioritizing these resources for actual missions. So this was hybrid mission, wasn't that much of a fun, but it was very good one because we actually worked with some Riverside Sheriff Department in this search operation. So we played the role of a retranslator. The search was in rigid terrain in the area of Anzabarega Park, lots of mountains, and radio communications were not possible for the teams on the ground directly to the sheriff operational center. And we were flying above the area of search and receiving messages from the ground and passing them to the next point of contact. Chuck, would you like to say a few words?
No, it was very good. I mean, there was a lot of air traffic because every time one of the ground crews needed, first off, they reported in their status because it was very hot. So they were keeping a close eye on their teams, but they also reported their lat long as well as their status. So there was a lot of air traffic.
Right. So what happens next, right? So you receive notification, yeah, you are on a list, and unless they no longer need any additional resources, you may expect a further communication, usually via email and maybe via phone call, depending on how incident comes. You should, once you respond and you receive a confirmation that you are on a list, monitor your emails, and they will issue a briefing for the selected air crews or ground teams, depending on the type of a mission. And during that briefing, they will explain what are the objectives for the mission, for specific resources, for air crews, for communication unit, for incident command, etc. So we operate in a format of FEMA, based on incident command system, and the information we receive is formatted as such. This is the wrong one. Let me find that.
what they do usually is if they want you on standby for the mission, they'll send you back. If you do it by text, they'll send you back a text message saying, yes, you're on standby. If they don't wind up not needing you that day, they'll send you a release message a little bit later. So.
Yeah, so they
And
send
the
the
package, before the briefing, in the package, they specified the operational period. So this was for Monday, and all the details, different ICS forms targeting particular area of incident command. So from flight crew point of view, we see, for example, assignment list. We have an aircraft. I was a pilot for the aircraft. It was totally 2 people. I am a primary point of contact, and we report to John Wayne Airport to pick up aircraft. Then in a briefing, they explain what is expected wheels uptime, what is expected time on station, how we communicate to incident command on delays, on progress, and so on and so forth. There is, of course, a communication plan. Chuck was a mission observer, so that's his primary responsibility to have a clear understanding of radio communications plan. And because he would be operating the radio, there is a safety plan. We are flying hybrid profile, meaning that we are at altitude of 9,000 feet MSL. So the lack of oxygen could be an issue, especially if there is a condition of some sort. So we had to monitor for the signs of hypoxia, and we had another staging area. So the original plan was to have 3 aircraft, and the changeover from one aircraft to another on given schedule. So the aircraft on standby would go to Palm Springs, and heat is a factor in Palm Springs. So stay hydrated, monitor your vitals, and so on and so forth. And of course, since it's a search for a missing person, so they have a part of the package on public relationship, what do's and don'ts. Specifically, we should maintain operational security, do not really publicize your participation in the event, do not communicate with the media. If media reached out to you, just pass them to the public affairs officer, and so on and so forth. Overall, it was a simple mission, but after each operational period, we receive a brief update on how the mission unfolded. So there is a search and rescue mission, notification of suspension. We participated with multiple resources, and they sent a chart showing the base staff, the air crews, how many sorties each air crew had, and so on and so forth. So myself and Chuck, we both had 2 sorties. One sortie was just returning to base. So we flew from John Wayne to the station, performed our duties for 2 hours, and landed in Palm Springs to have a break. And they told us the mission is suspended due to the heat impact, and Sheriff called off the operation on the ground, and they let us fly back to the base. So that's what the expectations are. That's how it all works. Of course, there is a little bit of more paperwork involved. If you are a pilot in command and a mission observer on an actual mission, you get specific sorties allocated to you. In our operational system, WIMMERS, you know which mission number, which sort is assigned. You sign in yourself as a resource, do risk management questionnaire, weight and balance. If takeoff and landing distance could be a factor, you calculate told. Weather assessment, and so on and so forth, and be ready for the flight release. Before flight, sometimes depending on weather, if weather is stable, then you can do flight release like night before. So you call the assigned flight release officer, or you indicate you are ready to take the call. They call you. You discuss potential hazards to the mission, the weather en route, at the departure airport, at the arrival airport, all that stuff. Any issues with aircraft, so you have to be familiar with discrepancies for the aircraft you're going to be flying. If these discrepancies have any impact on the mission, and so on and so forth. So example could be maybe the navigation database is not up to date. So it means you cannot depart IFR if you are qualified. It means you may have a delay. So stuff like that. Mission observer, it's a real pleasure to fly with Chris, to fly with Chuck. They know the business. They actually offload quite a lot of work from the pilot. I have to do the sortie planning. I usually do the risk management, weight and balance, and then the observer does the briefing and debriefing. So that helps pilot to focus on actual job flying the airplane. Actually, the mission observers from all air crews received good compliments. Chuck did a fantastic job communicating to the ground based on to our base and to the sheriff base. There was a lot of changeovers of teams on the ground, and the communication was very efficient. So we received good feedback from sheriff department and from incident command. So, any questions?
At least one addition, because it's still ongoing. Group 3 is currently doing WAMO. So I was the active WAMO during this, the Wing Mission Alert Officer. I knew about this mission before it kicked off because I started getting calls from AFRCC, which is the Air Force Rescue Coordination Center, and the Sheriff's Department. So now, that's the way it's supposed to happen. Those calls didn't work. They tried calling, didn't ring my phone, didn't do anything. So I ended up getting a call from the wing level, a mission alert officer, who told me to stand by and be ready. And then Sheriff's Department still wasn't able to call through the WAMO system, and we had to hunt down an IC to launch all of these missions.
Oh, that's a good information. I didn't know.
So WAMO is still going on. If any of you are already know about it, great. Please check your emails and sign up for a shift because there's still some open shifts. I think it got saddled on us at the last moment. If you don't know what WAMO is, I'm one of the WAMOs. It's a fairly easy job. We talk about our app. That's not an app. It's all handled through that on your phone. It redirects the number that the AFRCC calls to your number. You answer the phone, you be polite, you take down the information, and then you hit contact IC. And the system will find an available IC, call them, you hand off the information if they accept the mission. If they don't accept the mission, you go to the next IC. It's just you're a human router at this point. So if anybody's interested and wants any more information, there are still slots available that need to be filled for this period. Other than that, the cool part was, like I said, I knew about this mission and its details before the pilots who flew it. So that's one thing you get to do as a WAMO.
Yes.
And this is after 2.5 years, the first time I've actually been called. So.
Right. So I participate in WAMO duties pretty much every time unless I'm traveling. The caveat, you cannot leave your phone on do not disturb mode 24 hours.
Turn off your focus, turn off your do not disturb.
Yeah, so if you are signed in to the WAMO duties, you have to be able to receive that call because it could be life-saving event for somebody. So that's a app which is not an app, it's just a URL. So all members should have that as a shortcut on your mobile device. To sign in to that app, you need your credentials for the CAP email. So there are two credentials you have to keep ready. One is CAP email, and if you really want to be engaged in CAP, that's the way to receive all kinds of information about upcoming training, opportunities to fly once you are already onboarded through the process, and to get useful resources such as the instructor pilot contact information, the check pilot contact information and location, as well as skills evaluators and training contact information. So very important, right? So know your email address, know your password, keep it somewhere next to your phone or inside your phone, whatever. And the second credential is your e-services login and password, and that's different. Unfortunately, it's not a single sign-on, at least not at this time. So keep that in mind. So e-services is used for your training, for your onboarding tasks, learning management system. It's used to keep track of your objectives in learning, the specific tracks you are pursuing in emergency services, in a pilot track, whatnot, as well as management of resources. And I can talk for remaining 15 minutes about how to get specific resources. An airplane and an instructor pilot and a check pilot aligned with your schedule. That's pretty important part. It's not easy. Nothing is easy in our life, but with a little bit of practice, it becomes your second nature. First time I was doing it, I asked for help all the time, like until I tried successfully 3 or 4 times. I would call Terry or would call Mike, and over time it getting better and better, and now it doesn't even look that bad comparing to the first time I used it. So keep that as a shortcut. So what resources you'll find here besides Wemo duty? Now, let me show you quickly. So this is how it looks on your computer browser, because screen is wide, it stretches it, but on your mobile device it looks kind of like an app. So you can find aircraft information here. This system is not perfect, and it doesn't always show a real location of the aircraft. So for example, November 337 Charlie Papa. It shows location at Whiteman, but in reality is at Torrance. How to find out? That gets a little bit tricky. One option, you go to e-services, and I remember my password, but I prefer to save it in my secure browser. You go to e-services and you go to what we call WIMERS. Wing Management Information Resource System, something like that. I don't remember how it's abbreviated, but be ready to work with a lot of abbreviation, with a lot of acronyms. That's, I guess, inherited from the military, from US Air Force, and there are a lot of acronyms. So here you have all the open missions, and I will just show you. You go to support, you will find scheduling module. Make a bookmark somewhere, because this is going for the pilots, is going to be your best friend. Okay, this is how you find aircraft actually available for you to reserve. And you can reserve any aircraft in the wing and even nationwide. There is no limit. If you are a qualified pilot and you know how to get to the aircraft, which is a different story. I actually had a session on that. It was my experience flying in Florida, but you can reserve any aircraft. So for example, if I look at 337 Charlie Papa, maybe I'll find it somewhere here. So 337 Charlie Papa shows at Fresno today, right? But it's supposed to come back from Fresno because it went to Fresno for the WADS mission, and once it returns from Fresno, it will be at Torrance. Unfortunately, unless you are a pilot, you don't have access to MRAD. But MRAD is your best friend to find real location of the aircraft. And since you're going to reserve the aircraft, you want to understand what kind of status for that aircraft. Is it in good shape to fly? Does it have any limitation? So you go and do an aircraft discrepancy search. So it was slow. Put the tail number. Keep just open discrepancies, no point for the closed ones. And it will produce a report. My mistake. Here it doesn't show the location, I'm sorry. It's a different report. So I'm still sometimes confused. So it's a discrepancy search. The difference is one is abbreviated report, the other one is detailed report. Now for pilots going through onboarding, unfortunately you do not have access to MRAD. That's where I, Mike, Terry, we come handy. You reach out to me and I'll tell you exactly where the aircraft is. So now I'm confused. I did see it. Well, that's where it was logged. Right? That was logged. Aircraft status, sorry. I think it's aircraft status. And by the way, that's another trick I have done. So if you select the region, so you find Pacific Coast region, California, and you look for all aircraft, and you want, let's say, serviceable or deferred, okay, which means it's usable aircraft, and you keep open and then filter. That should give you a current location. Yeah, so it's aircraft status. So now it shows you all aircraft in California wing which are in deferred or serviceable status. So for example, 337 Charlie Papa is currently at Fresno, and that's a good question because we're supposed to use it on Friday, so I hope it comes back. And then you can click and review the open discrepancies for each aircraft. So first you need to find what are the options for the aircraft, and that's the best way to research this subject. So let's see, there are only 3 discrepancies. You can see it requires the wheel mount and nothing to do with the aircraft status. Rear left passenger seat jacks intermittent, noisy static on intercom. Okay. Co-pilot headset jacks cause static on ICS, which looks like the same. Okay, so nothing really posing the risk of flight, and so it's flyable aircraft. So when you start figuring out which aircraft are in your area of interest, I can give you a current list of California aircraft, which is posted in Teams under pilot onboarding channel. It may need some updating, and I asked Al to keep that up to date, maybe on monthly basis, because aircraft are being shuffled around. One difference in present wind command, that the current operations allow aircraft to move based on operational needs more fluidly. And actually, one of the benefits we have having maintenance one here at Riverside, given we don't have aircraft currently assigned to us in an operational state, we have a permission to keep an aircraft for a week right after it gets out of maintenance. and I am a wing maintenance officer, assistant officer, who is in charge of maintenance one facility, so I know exactly when aircraft comes out. So, for example, right now we have 499 Charlie Papa in annual inspection, which is Cessna 172. So if any of you want to check out or get trained on 172 with G1000, let me know. I will hold it after aircraft is out of inspection. Okay, so figure that out. Next, you need aircraft. That's number one. Next, you need an instructor pilot when you go through onboarding. So on PRMA, one thing is mislabeled is this button, check pilots. It's not just check pilots. It's instructor pilots and check pilots. So click on that button and you look at it. First few months you're going to be like, group what? Where is it? Okay, we are part of group 3. So remember that. So we call group 3 Inland Empire. So you look at it and it looks pretty limited. So you need, for example, instructor pilot G1000. There are now 2. Just a few weeks ago it was 1. That's where we need Katya, we need Carlos, we need instructor pilots, we need CFIs. So getting you two through onboarding process is my foremost priority. And we can stay a little bit longer after this meeting is formally over, and I will review your present status, what you have done and what else you may be missing. And same applies to all pilots going through onboarding, so you're welcome to stay and review that together. So we have Brian Carr is far. He is in Palm Springs. Not much of a use unless you are willing to go there, but there is no aircraft there. Trent Ferris is at Hammett and he's very responsive. He flies for some organization which gives Cirrus training, and for the Cirrus owners who are not yet pilots, he flies those owners on their leisure time from point A to point B. So kind of like he dropped out of airlines, went to do that kind of a gig. So he's very motivated to get you guys through onboarding process, and he is a great instructor. So G1000 instructor can get you trained on round dial and on G1000. There are not that many round dial aircraft in the area. There is one at John Wayne, which is probably the oldest aircraft in our fleet. People don't like it. I personally like it a lot. It's a good 182. It's not exactly round dial. It has G500 PFD MFD combination and pretty good navigation setup. It doesn't have autopilot, but nice airplane. And usually, since it's not very popular, it's quite available. So if you want to fast track through the process of getting checked out in 182, that's the way to go. Okay. So, but you see, it's only one instructor pilot in Group 3. But we have Group 7 right next door. Group 7 is essentially Fullerton, Long Beach, John Wayne. If you have a job somewhere en route going back home and you're passing Fullerton or John Wayne or even Whiteman, Whiteman is Group 1, but nevertheless, you now know Group 7 is Orange County essentially. Group 1 is Los Angeles County. So see, for example, on G1000 how many instructors they have. A lot. Okay, which means it's much easier to get your schedule, airplane schedule, and instructor pilot schedule aligned. So keep that in mind. I personally have flown with Jeff Bungin, Scott Dynin, and Rajan Ranjit. If you need instrument add-on to your check ride, you may want to ask a check pilot who will be doing your check ride if they have qualification as CFII. because not all check pilots do. So now, once you complete your training with instructor pilot, you need to go and find the check pilot examiner. Check pilot. Check pilot. Check pilot examiner is to onboard the check pilot. So there are 4 in group 7, and there are none in group 3. Okay, so group 7 is your best friend to get through onboarding fast.
Well, I think the guy in Palm Springs, he can do it.
He's next one. I don't know anybody who went through onboarding with him,
Oh, really?
except for Palm Springs Squadron while they had an airplane. And to me, anywhere in Inland Empire, going to Orange County or Whiteman beats going to Palm Springs, in my opinion. Yeah, and it's hot over there. Yesterday it was 44 Celsius, so hot. Not very pleasant.
Yeah, it
Any
was nice
questions?
when we were at altitude, but as soon as we landed, it was like, this is not good.
Yeah.
Muriel.
So, any questions? All the formal part of the meeting is over. Thank you all who joined. Yes.
We were thinking the other day that maybe we should start talking about a date for the Christmas dinner. I know it's like 4 months ahead, but at least if we get it done now, we could lock in a time that everyone's available, hopefully, and maybe get the reservation done sooner so that we're not trying to do that during the Christmas crunch.
Okay, for online folks, the suggestion is to start thinking about Christmas party time and location. So you volunteered for that, so you'll be the point of contact for all the ideas. Any ideas you have, please send it to Michelle and we will coordinate. So the way we typically do that stuff, once we have an idea when and where we want to do it, we will send a sign-up sheet via the SharePoint form and get exact count for the people who goes and set it in stone.
What usually is the time around the dates that we do it? Is it like the second week in December?
Yeah, first, second week of December usually works good. Yeah, that's our typical approach. Right. Yeah, and same place was Old Spaghetti Factory at Riverside, so I think it's more or less central for everyone. So we can, if no objections, we can start engaging the Spaghetti Factory and see what are the options. I'm pretty sure at this time they are wide open. Any other questions, suggestions?
Can you tell us what ICS, or just tell me, what is ICS 300?
That's an
Like how
incident
long
command system subpart. To be honest, I don't even remember right now what is it about exactly. Chris?
So you're going to end up doing disaster relief planning. So normally it's like you'll learn about how to go about planning for a disaster and then executing during a disaster. I think the one I got was flooding, but basically the ICS levels are for if you're doing the higher level base staff functions. So something like if you want to be a logistics officer during base staff for either a SARX or a real mission, you'll need ICS 300. The next level is if you ever want to be an IC one day, an incident commander, you need ICS 400. So you will probably...
I don't think I need this shit.
Well, so if you're going through to be a mission pilot, you will have to take ICS 100, 700, 100, 200, and 700 and 800. They're all online. They're all part of the FEMA training system, and you will have to do at least those if you want to be a mission pilot. And also, I think mission scanners have to take your first step in that progress is 100, 200, 700, 800.
Mission scanner, just one.
Just
I think you have to do all
100
four.
and 700.
Yeah,
700.
and then for the next level, you do the rest of those. But those are all fairly straightforward. They're not too intensive. 300 is where it starts to become a little intensive, and 400 is the command level, ICS.
Yes, and memory
300 is
comes
intermediate.
back now since Chris started talking. So 300 is
More about
different
different sections
It's on
operationally within the ICS system, and specifically you would need it if you want to do, for example, planning section chief role or ABD role or CUL. You would need ICS 300. But for mission pilot, you don't need that.
I think it's, yeah, it's
Just a
those
quick note,
social-
there is a night or an evening class of ICS 300 coming up in September. The sign up was done a long time ago, but I think you can still sign up. So if someone's interested in a September evening class ICS 300, I'll forward you that email.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? So I guess unless you are a pilot, you are dismissed. You're welcome to hang around, socialize,